The latest now on Steve Bannon. The Trump ally and former advisor is set to turn himself into authorities in New York today, facing fraud charges for an effort tied to fundraising for a southern border wall. Ariel Reshev is at the courthouse here in Manhattan. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, George. Bannon walking through the doors of this courthouse, surrendering to New York authorities. He's being accused of stealing from donors, and though he has pledged to fight those charges, his legal battle is far from over. This morning, longtime Trump advisor Steve Bannon facing a new criminal indictment as he turns himself into authorities here in New York, accused of siphoning money from the group called We Build the Wall, an online campaign to build a section of President Trump's border wall that raised $25 million.
They see that this is a way that they can take action to actually, make happen a physical barrier on the southern border and support President Trump and what President Trump's trying to do.
The founders claiming that every penny would go to construction.
100% of your money goes towards the wall.
Promising those who donated a brick in the wall with their name on it.
You're not going to last forever, but your brick will.
Prosecutors say instead, Bannon and his associates lined their pockets with large sums of that money. And in 2020, the Justice Department charging them in the alleged scheme. But before Bannon's trial, Trump issuing him an 11th hour pardon on his last day in office. That presidential pardon does not protect Bannon from state charges. Bannon now calling the charges phony and a political weaponization of the criminal justice system, saying, "I am never going to stop fighting. They will have to kill me first." And two of Bannon's associates pleaded guilty in that federal case. They now face years behind bars, a third now awaiting trial. Bannon now the third federal defendant pardoned by President Trump to face charges here in New York. George.
Okay, Ariel, thanks very much. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So, Dan, just start out by explaining to everybody why even though Steve Bannon was pardoned, he can be charged again.
Right. You're talking about state charges versus federal charges. The pardon occurs with regard to the federal government, the Department of Justice. But that doesn't mean that you're pardoned with regard to any potential state charges. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, the problem Steve Bannon has with regard to the politicization defense, this is all politics, is that the victims here were all people who were so committed to building a wall on the southern border that they were willing to donate their own money. Some of them with not a lot of money, offering $10, for example. They raised $25 million from all people who were so committed to that. These are all conservatives who believed in that cause. That's number one. Number two is it was the Trump Department of Justice that indicted Bannon. Not the Biden Department of Justice, the Trump Department of Justice under Bill Barr. And finally, it's that you have these other defendants who pled guilty.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They've told us that this was a scam.
It's a pretty clear-cut legal case.
It sure seems that way. The only question becomes, what was Bannon's role, right? There's no doubt at this point that there was a scam, that Bannon was the chairman. The question now becomes, okay, what was Bannon's role, and the typical legal questions that would be asked in that context.
Okay, Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.